Welcome to Breaking Big, where we interview people about their careers in the entertainment industry. I'm your host, Erin Newmeyer. Everyone here at Thunder Tally Media is so excited to announce that we are being featured on the Hoo Ha Ha app under the Podcast We Love section. They are on a mission to spotlight and support women in comedy. One of the ways they do that is by amplifying women's voices, like this podcast. If you haven't already, go check out the hoohaha.com website. There's so much great content there. That's where you'll find my podcast and all the other shows featured under the Podcast We Love section. And now I'd like to welcome you to Breaking Big. Hello there and welcome. I'm your host, Erin Newmeyer. This episode will be broadcast on camera on our Thunder Tally Media pages, on Facebook, and on our YouTube channel. So if you're listening in podcast only mode, you can always rewatch the video or clips or see photos there and on Stitcher, which now offers a video option. So let's get started. This is the one with Samantha Henderson. Samantha is an award-winning film and TV producer working in Sacramento and Los Angeles. She is the co-director of the SAC Film Challenge, a music and film festival, and she founded the Sacramento Film Project, which is a film group that focuses on networking and developing filmmakers. Samantha serves on the board of directors for Access Sacramento, public access TV and radio, and is certified as a TV and radio producer. Her newest film, Smash, premiered at Raleigh Studios Hollywood in November 2021 as part of Women in Media's Camaraderie Initiative, and is now on a festival run. And in 2019, she wrapped Chef in Sacramento, which she also wrote and directed. She's a member of Women in Media, Capital Film Arts Alliance, and the Northern California Film Coalition. Welcome to the show, Samantha.
Thank you for having me, Erin.
So glad to have you here. I'm very excited to represent Sacramento, include our Northern California contingent.
Oh, yeah, of course. We got a great film community up there that, people need to talk about more.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like there's a lot of really great things going on up there. So tell us, what is your background? How did you get into the film industry?
So my background is varied. So if we're talking education and, career one, it would be banking, finance, business. But I've had the love of storytelling my whole life. So it started, as a young girl, learning to tell jokes with my dad and my brothers. And so for me, storytelling, entertaining, having a good time, really you could do it in any form. So I gravitated to filmmaking, from photography, just wanting to explore the art and the format. And I've been hooked ever since. So that is my story in brief.
That's great. So I know when you first started out, you focused a little bit more on doing sound recording, engineering, and mixing. Can you tell us how you got into that?
Well, sure. So what a lot of people don't know about me is I was rapping in high school and beyond. And as a recording artist, had a lot of experience in the studio. In addition to coming from a family with a musical background. And so I was at a meetup, met a woman who said that she was working in independent film. And I'm like, hey, just invite me on the set, I'll do whatever. And so my first gig was to hold the boom over my head for hours and hours at a time with the sound recorder dangling off of me. And because you don't see very many women doing that, and then I'm a Black woman at that, you don't forget my name. So I just started getting invited to set after set, project after project to do sound. And so if you're looking at my IMDb, you'll see many credits there. And it just kind of went along with what I already knew. And then it was great to be able to apply it to film, because being on the sets really helped me learn what all the people were doing on there. And so I got to pick and choose the things that I wanted to try out over the years.
That's great. Here we have a picture of you. I don't know if you remember what project this is from, but
that was a 48-hour film festival challenge film that we were working on.
And I see you've got the boom mic, and it's got one of those big blimp like
Yes.
wind reduction uh, contraptions on the top.
Yeah, the equipment always looks a little wonky, but it's really what helps the sound, to be good on the set.
Yeah. Yeah, especially it looks like you guys were filming something outside, so I know that makes a huge difference. So I wondered if you could explain just a little bit more about what the sound department does in the mix of filming, because I think it's probably one of those areas that's so important, but it can sometimes get overlooked by people who are just starting out or doing those kind of film challenges or just getting started even in college. I feel like sometimes not enough attention is put on the sound department.
Yeah, so regardless of like small independent films or the larger independent films and television, like the sound department is integral because people will usually forgive the visual mistakes and technical glitches, but not so much when they're dealing with audio. So what we're doing in general is recording sound, and so we show up with the plan, so we're, interacting with directors and producers and the DPs, trying to figure out what's happening, what the need is. So is it a boom mic? And that's the little thing that we're holding over our head. Is it the lavalier mics, the little lapel mics that we plant on people's clothes or on their person somewhere? Or is it like a plant mic that's, somewhere on the set trying to capture environmental and atmospheric noise? And so we're the ones managing that process. So from the design on set and the plan to the actual recording. And so you may see multiple people, you may have one mixer for a very complicated production and maybe one or more boom people. But a lot of times on independent projects, it's just one person with the mixer hanging off of their person and a boom. And that's what most people associate the sound department with.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that right away you got thrown kind of into like holding the boom mic because I have read it is very difficult. It's not, I know they build it to be lightweight, but anytime you're having to hold something over your head for hours at a time, I know there's like strategies to not, injure yourself.
Oh yeah, it's something that you got to practice first of all. And I can't say like, oh, I lifted a whole lot of weights and prepared myself. It's just really trying techniques, getting the rest when I can. So, in between the DP and director talking about what they want to alter, like I'm resting my arms.
Right. You're just waiting for that cut so you can bring your arms down.
Yes, yes.
And then I heard you say plant mic. Is that like where you stick the microphone actually in a plant or something?
Yeah, I think that's where the term came from, but really it's, hiding a recording device somewhere on the set because you're trying to pick up some atmospheric sound. So it could be like a walk. It could be like people whispering in a corner. So anything that you're trying to capture while you're set up for a certain scene, we call it a plant mic if it's not necessarily on the person or like a boom overhead. So that's really the difference in that case.
That's so cool. Yeah. I was also thinking for redundancies because a couple of times I've tried to record projects, and because it's usually just me or a couple of people that don't really know how to do sound very well, I don't always have someone like independently monitoring it. So like I usually run a lav on each person and then the boom, and then but like a lot of times like there will be something wrong with the lav, like it'll be rustling on clothes or something, and then you can't use it, and you need that third
Yeah.
microphone somewhere.
Yeah, I'm an advocate for going full on boom. Like I understand why people want the lab mics because it's easy to kind of hide them away, but rustling of the clothes, like little taps sometimes, like the actor will tap something, and then the lav mic is picking up all of that. And so like you will find that you have more challenges with those microphones. And so you're right, the redundancy makes a big difference.
Yeah, plus like if you've got a gal that's wearing necklaces or guy even, or
Uh,
if their clothes are noisy. Like, I mean, and then even and on guys or girls too, sometimes if they're wearing little tank tops, it's hard to hide the lavalier somewhere.
yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of challenges. You know, we use them. We try to use them to the best of our ability. But if you're independent, trust me, you know, you're gonna get your best bang for your buck with a boom. So just get the boom.
So there's your hot tip, everybody. Just use a boom mic. Just get that
Yes,
third person there to hold the boom mic for you.
yes.
And then what is a wild sound? Like a lot of times I see people saying, okay, everybody hold still, and then we're just going to record. So what is that used for?
Oh, so it's just basically the sound in the room, right? So when you're trying to edit your film, sometimes you're cutting from different times, days. You know, people being in a room versus them being absent can change the sound. So you're recording the wild sound or like just the sound in the room, so that you have a baseline to put under your edit, so it doesn't like sound real choppy or crazy when you're you know, cutting from scene to scene, from shot to shot. So if your sound person is good, they're going to remind the director, like every time we change a setup, we're going to ask for wild sound, at least like 25 seconds. You know, you could go a minute if you wanted to, but you just want to get enough so that you can use it in post to cover up some of the challenges that you have normally.
Does it ever get used behind ADR? Like if you
It
need to go
could,
back
yeah,
in and re-record
yeah,
something? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I
because it's
wondered.
really just to give you that baseline so you have something there.
Yeah, we just did a project where we did a lot of like voiceover, but then some of it, like you can just hear that difference so much between the on-set recording and then the like, it's almost like the other mic was like in a soundproof closet. And so like all of the ambient noise is missing from those recordings and it's
Yes.
really kind of jarring.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
heard actually that you can watch a film that has bad video as long as the sound is good, but you can't watch a movie that has bad sound no matter how incredible the video part is.
Yeah, it makes it unbearable, and people will just turn it off. Or like we've all been to festivals where it's like, oh, you can't even get into the film because just the sound is terrible. So, like, I encourage you as you're planning your production, make sure you include the sound.
Yeah,
Like,
they
don't
need to be
make
right up there. Don't skimp on your sound, people.
Mhm.
So I know that you kind of started out and you've done that a lot, but you've also actually done a lot of producing now too, and also writing and directing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about you know like what happened. Were there any key moments in your experience, or like how like why are you making this move? Have you put sound behind you entirely? Like what are you thinking?
Okay, so I have not put sound behind me totally. But I'm going to tell you, like, my real passion coming into filmmaking was the writing. And so I'm just one of those people that, like, when I'm interested in something, I'm going to dive in fully. So, you know, that meant being on set, seeing how the process works. And so, like, I've always been a writer at heart. And so, like, the screenplay writing started for me like early on in this like process of learning how to make the films. And so from the writing and directing, that kind of goes hand in hand. Like I don't really want to put my work into the hands of someone else. I rather do it myself. And so that's where the directing comes in, and producing. It's really, you know, me having a knack for story and this process, but I also have a knack for connecting people and motivating and inspiring. And so that's the producer in me. It's like someone comes for help and all of a sudden I'm producing, and it just has taken off like wildly in the last few years. And so like I've been doing a lot of producing lately, but the writing, the directing is definitely very much part of what I'm doing and striving to do. And the sound is one of those things like, hey, when in need, like I'm the person to call.
I have a photo of you where you actually won Best Director for a short film that you worked on.
Oh, okay.
So I'm wondering if maybe producer Bex can put that up. Oh, okay, this is a different one. That's
Oh,
okay.
oh yeah.
This is another short film that you worked on, but we can go ahead and talk about this one. Why don't you tell us what's going on in this picture?
Yeah, so this is the premiere of Chef in Sacramento, which is a film that I wrote, directed, and produced in 2019 as part of a Sacramento film festival called a place called Sacramento. It's pretty big deal up there, and I won the top award, which was the Producer's Choice Award there. And this is most of our team, so we have cast and crew in there. It was a lot of us, so trust me, we had a grand time filming as part of this process, but you'll see us smiling because I had, along with myself, I had two of my other friends that were part of that festival and competition. So it was really a grand celebration for us all.
What I love about this picture is like you literally have like so many different people represented, like you've
Yeah.
got ladies and guys, you've got young people and old people. I mean, it really runs the gamut, because I think your lead actress, how old was she?
Oh, like 11. And I got to
Yeah.
say, the kids do so well on set. Like they come off book before you even hold an audition. So, like, don't sleep on the child actors.
Yeah, I know. Well, my kids do some of that acting too, so I know, like, as a parent, we're always like, "Oh, please let this go well," like,
Yeah.
uh, and I think our producer Bex was in that photo too.
Yes, producer Bex was a producer on Chef in Sacramento with me.
That's so awesome. I love that. Well, I wanted to talk actually a little bit more about that project because
Okay.
I know that you wrote and directed it, and I know the story is like very personal to you. So, could you just kind of give us the like background on how it came about?
Sure. So I wanted to enter the competition, needed a 10-page script. So I took a workshop that Access Sacramento was holding. And after like 4 weekends, it was time for us to turn in a script. And so I didn't have one that I was really sure about. So I ended up sitting down and writing Chef in Sacramento like the night before by hand, and then had to go and type it up so I could turn it in the next day. And at the workshop, we were going to be doing a table read. And so the story is just inspired by my father and my brother, who I think they are the epitome of not perfect fathers, but good fathers, right? And so in the story, you have a single father, just lost his job, daughter wants to run track. And so he has to come up with a way to get the funds to make sure she's able to enroll. And so what I love about the film, in addition to it just being a tribute to my dad who passed away in 2012, and a shout out to my brother, what I love about it is it just shows like how the community can come together and make really great things happen. And so Chef in Sacramento is really near and dear to my heart. It will always be near and dear to my heart. And it also has set the tone for the kind of work that I do going forward.
Well, we have the trailer for that,
Oh, yeah.
so I'm hoping we can play that so everyone can see this wonderful short.
Okay.
So, how's Daddy's baby doing?
Awesome. I was the only one in class to do the math homework correctly. My friends looked at me crazy when the teacher told them they would have to do it again. I was like, what? It's not my fault you didn't read the chapter first. Dad, I want to run track. We had tryouts today, and Coach says I'm fast.
Is that right? Taking after old Dad, huh?
You ran track?
I was fast as lightning. No one could catch me. 100 meters, 200, 400. Phew.
Funny, Dad. So, can I sign up? It's okay, Dad. Maybe next year.
Oh, she's
Yeah,
so good.
yeah,
Your heart breaks a little bit. Like that.
yeah.
The girl's so sweet about it. Like it's okay.
Yeah, and the young lady's character is modeled after my niece, and she's very much like that. Just very like a very smart, but in tune and not needy. Just a great kid.
Hmm. So can we see the whole film anywhere?
So I am still in the film festival circuit right now.
All right.
So we got picked up for the San Diego Indie Film Festival that will screen in August. So I think after that, I'll probably do like a release of it just on Vimeo. So
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's
thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, so what are you most proud of when you think about working on that film?
Oh man, a lot. You know, you have this great project that you get to share. I shared an experience making it with, and then I get to show family and friends the work that I've done. It has led me to other projects for people that I collaborated with on this project. Definitely a confidence booster. It's a hey, like you got to show work that you created, and for it to be well received feels good. So it's definitely that, like the accomplishment, the collaboration is great, but also that it's something that will last forever. That really just kind of displays like my love for my dad.
I mean, it's really fantastic. I would love to see the entire project. It looks so incredibly well shot, and I mean, what a great opportunity to take part in something like that. I'm wondering if there's anything that you would have done differently since that was your first time really being like a writer director on a bigger project.
Wow. So we had close to 80 people on our team, if you're counting cast and crew. And when you're talking like micro budget, that's a lot of people to feed. So I think I might have tried to scale down the project a bit and save some money. That's probably like the biggest thing. But also, I would have loved to expand the story a bit if possible. So when you're producing for a competition, there's like these limits that are put on you on occasion. And so like I was kind of faced with that, and I kind of wish I would have planned to do like a version 2 that expanded it just a little more, because there were other parts of the story that I wanted to tackle, like bullying on campus, and I just didn't have the space in this round. So, if anyone wants to hear the story, I got some great stories about producer Bex telling me to cut scenes, and I almost broke down and cried about it. So yeah, expanding it with the space, right, and then just scaling back are the two main things.
Yeah, and you're actually really fortunate because coming into the industry as a filmmaker with a background in finance is huge. I think so many people don't realize how much money really goes into it. I mean, even I sometimes participate in these 2-day or 5-day film challenges, and the cost can get out of hand really quickly. And everybody says, "Oh, you could just do it with your iPhone," but you can't really, because like you still need a location, and then you need insurance, and then if you have kids on set, you need a studio teacher, and it's like it sounds easy, and then feeding people, like you said.
Yes, that's a big cost, and I think that's one that people kind of ignore. Like people will work for you for little to no money sometimes, but you have to treat them well. So that's giving them adequate breaks. That's making sure that they're fed well, and coffee that gets wasted but having it on set is a big deal. So you just want to make sure like you're taking care of your people and you're fulfilling that basic need that we have to keep them motivated to work. And so yeah, with 80 people, you're spending quite a bit on a multi-day shoot. So just kind of consider that when you're planning for your next project.
Do you have any other tips that from like the finance, perspective on like, because I have never done really any of those Seed and Spark fundraisers or anything like that. I don't know if there's any suggestions you have for people that are trying to figure out how they're going to finance their project.
Yeah, so the thing that I talk to people the most about when I'm consulting or as a producer is if you're relatively new, like I don't think your expectations should be to raise a lot of money through crowdfunding. I think that you're going to be financing it with your savings or your paycheck, maybe some credit card debt, which is not something that you really want to be doing. So you got to control those costs. And then you're also going to be sourcing from family and friends first, right? So if you're serious about what you're doing, your family and friends will support you. And then when you have a little bit more experience, you're still going to have to use your savings. You're still going to have to go to your family and friends for help. But you're not quite ready to get investors involved until you have a project that could really be sold and marketed in a commercial way. So if it's just like a passion project or just going to the film festivals initially with no real plan after that, I think it's, crowdfunding could be the next step for you. But it's a lot of hard work. And so you need a team that's prepared to do the production with you and also do this crowdfunding with you.
Yeah, I think for a while people thought that crowdfunding was like the panacea. This will fix everything, just crowdfund. But like, I think to do crowdfunding well, especially if you're looking to make more than just $1,000 or maybe even $5,000, if you're looking to make more than that, I think you really have to have a team of people that are working pretty much full time for an entire month while you're running your campaign.
Yes, I've experienced being in pre-production for a film and running a crowdfunding campaign, and you're not sleeping, and you're doing a lot of social media posts, but the posts are kind of working. What really is working is me calling my family and friends and reminding them that, hey, you said you were going to pledge this $100. Are you going to do it? Please do it. And I thank you, and like I owe you one.
Yes,
like a lot of reminders. Yeah, a lot of reminders and back and forth. So it's so much work. And then you got to consider like all those incentives got to be, delivered to your contributors. And so that becomes a lot of work. So I just think that, you got to prepare well for it.
Yeah, and I've heard that really it's hard to get any kind of besides like people that are just like passionate about your project. Like if you're, telling a story like you said about like bullying or overcoming obstacles or those kinds of things, you're not really going to get a true investor because investors want to get a return. And so that doesn't really happen often with short films unless it was like a proof of concept for maybe a feature that they would want to purchase or get involved in. Otherwise, I mean, film festivals, honestly, they just cost you money, especially.
Right.
And then you can't really show your film for that first year or longer. So.
Yeah, so there's so many considerations. I just think like if, I'm going to say like you can make your film, like there's not going to ever be like a perfect moment or a perfect amount of money in your bank account to make your film. I think that you can use techniques like scaling. So if I have a $5,000 budget in mind, but I really only have $1,000, and it's like, what do you do to just kind of make it work? So I would always encourage people to go after your dreams and don't let limitations stop you. Just try to work within them, be creative, be innovative, and do it. Do whatever it is that you think you're going to do, but just know, crowdfunding, investors like that, those things work, but they don't necessarily work like the inexperienced sometimes believe they do. And so you just kind of got to consider that and try to work within your means. Maybe push it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So do you have plans? I know, I think I heard that you're in a couple writing groups. Is that right?
Yes. So I run a writing group with a film group that I started in Sacramento called the Sacramento Film Project. And also I'm in a wonderful group, Women in Media members. And that is probably some of the best times of my month because we're not meeting every week. It's like every other week. But like the conversations, the stories that come through, the encouragement, the accountability is like so great. So it's kind of keeping me focused on my goal of getting these feature films written so that I can move to the next steps.
Yeah, I love writing groups. I mean, I think if you are somebody that's interested in writing, it's probably the best thing you can do because it's really easy to let a day get away from you, like with good intentions of writing. But if you know you're due to share some material or even to show up for someone else, it might get you inspired to work on your own stuff. So I love that. Is there anything else? Like, is there anything you can tell us that you're working on right now?
So I have my podcast, The Creative Seat, and it's a newly launched podcast. And the tagline is the podcast where the curious and creative come to listen and be inspired. And so how I try to differentiate myself from every other creative podcast is we really get into the process, right? So I'm film related. So a lot of the guests initially are going to be filmmakers as well. But I'm extending the offer to talk to all creatives because we have similar challenges. It's like this internal thing that happens, external forces that kind of keep you away. So really wanting to celebrate the artist, the work, but talk about like how hard it is sometimes to get to a finished work. So that hopefully somebody listening will be encouraged to just keep going or maybe start something that they have had on their mind and hearts for a while and just haven't done it because they just haven't had the right motivation. So I hope you go listen to the podcast and you enjoy what you're listening to.
Yeah, I saw you already have a website up for it and you've had your first guest. And so it's just a matter of time, I'm sure, before you've got people from all different types of creative backgrounds.
Yes. So yeah, we'll be dropping a new episode soon.
Is it bi-monthly or?
So we're doing like bi-weekly. So every other Tuesday is our release schedule.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, look, I'm a huge fan of podcasts, which is why I started my own as well, is because I just enjoy listening to them and I love hearing these different stories about people. So I'm super excited to tune in and hear all of the wonderful people I'm sure you'll be interviewing. So congratulations. Yeah, we'll drop that in the show notes so that people can go make sure they follow it and keep track of what you're doing. I wondered, as we're kind of wrapping up here, if you have any like sage advice for people who are just starting out.
So the best advice that I could give you is to do it. So whatever it is that you're setting out to do, whether it's making a film, writing a novel, being a slam poet, whatever you're maybe it's starting a business. I think that you just have to do. So if you don't take any actions, then nothing is going to happen. And so you can't let like fear or insecurity, outside forces deter you. You have to just kind of fight through them and work around it. So I definitely also want to tell a quick story about a project that I have with my friend Bex, who's also a producer here. We have our film festival called the Sacramento Film Challenge. And we had these grand plans. So go check out the website. We have submissions open. But here's what's so great about that. We started planning that at the end of 2019 with these grand plans for 2020. And we all know what happened in March of 2020. And so we could have just stopped, but we decided that we were going to pivot. And so instead of it being in person those first couple of years, we repurposed it and repackaged it, made it an online festival. We had a really great opening and a really great last 2 years. So we're in year number 4. So definitely if you have films to submit, go ahead and do that. You could DM me if you're looking for a discount code for your submissions. I'd be happy to accommodate. But we did it. We did, and we went forward. And now we have this great festival that, we're able to grow and share with everybody. And it, again, is another just avenue of like celebrating creative people.
I love that. That's amazing, because it would have been so easy to just throw in the towel with the pandemic. I mean, everyone, I think, felt so overwhelmed at that time. And it's incredible that you took that energy and you turned it into something like wonderful for everybody, and I'm excited. And thanks so much for offering our listeners a discount code. That's very generous. I wanted to also do a little shout out of my own. So I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to the news this week, but Mattel just came out with their newest kind of inclusive Barbie doll. It has Down syndrome, and they actually worked with the National Down Syndrome Society to make sure that it like really represented accurately someone who has Downs. And it's dressed in this cute little butterfly dress. It's like yellow and blue, because those are the colors that represent the, awareness around Down syndrome. And its accessories are, that has this little like chevron necklace that has 3 chevrons, because it's the, I want to make sure I say it right, it's the 21st chromosome has 3 copies, and that's what makes it Down syndrome. And it comes with little ankle foot orthotics, because a lot of kids wear them for support. So I think it's just really cool that, I mean, I grew up with Barbie, and like, I don't look like Barbie. So it is kind of nice to have these more realistic representations of women for our daughters and people that like to play with dolls to have available to them. And I know like 2020, I think it was in 2020, they actually came out with a doll that had the skin condition vitiligo, where you don't have pigmentation in part of your skin, dolls that don't have any hair, dolls with darker skin tones, and a doll with a gold prosthetic limb. And as you know, listeners, I am all for inclusivity, diversity, and making sure that folks with disabilities are represented. So I just wanted to shout out Mattel for this. I love it when corporations use their power for good, and they're coming out with their new movie. And so I think it's a great time to really try to make the world a little bit kinder for everyone.
I agree.
Representation is so important. So,
yeah, I agree. That's a great shout out.
Thank you. I know when I saw that post, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to make sure everybody knows about this. Now my daughter is 14, but she actually does still play with dolls. She has like a big imagination, and she loves to do that dress up stuff. So it definitely made me renew my fandom of Barbie for sure. But I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show today. It really means a lot to me and our listeners to get to hear your perspective. You have so much experience in a bunch of different areas, and I think people will really learn a lot.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Erin.
Well, that is our show. So I will have all of the links. We'll drop them into our show notes, especially the SAC Film Challenge, because they are taking submissions right now. And you can keep up with Samantha at her website at samanthakhenderson.com. And then she's also on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at Sam Kendrea. And you can check her out or follow her there. And that's where you could drop her a DM if you want a code for that entry.
Awesome.
So,
I'll be looking forward.
Well, that's our show. We hope you loved it. If you did, make sure you're subscribed, tell your friends about it, and why not write us a review? If you know someone that would make a great guest on our show, drop us a line. You can find us on Instagram at ThunderTally, or go to our website, thundertally.com. This show was produced by Bex Francis, edited by me, Erin Newmeyer. The music was performed and written by Dylan Newmeyer. And our sponsor is Filmcraft LA, so make sure you go check them out. This has been a